We'll be speaking from the light of the Bhagavad, mundane love compared to spiritual love. So let's start by having some kirtan. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pashuddhari Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Radha Nata Radha Radha Nata Radhe Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Nitai Gaura Haribo Haribo Nitai Gaura Haribo Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Sutasara Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Jaya Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Parivrakacharya Sutasara Srila Bhaktisanta Saraswati Maharaj ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sari Gaur Bhakti Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radharadhanath ki jai. Shriman Mahaprabhu ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Go Premanande Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. So today, dear devotees, we'll be reading from The Light of the Bhagavad, text 42. So it goes as follows. At night in autumn, the atmosphere is pleasant because it is neither very hot nor very cold. The mild wind blowing through the gardens of fruits and flowers in Vrindavan appeared very much pleasing to all but the gopis, who were always overtaken by heartfelt sorrow in the absence of Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. There are two kinds of transcendental feelings for those engaged in the worship of the Lord. One is called sambhog and the other is called viraha. According to authorities in the disciplic line, viraha worship is more palatable than sambhog worship. Sambhog takes place in direct touch, whereas viraha takes place without such direct contact. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu taught us to accept viraha worship. In the present state of affairs, we cannot make any direct touch with the personality of Godhead. But if we practice the viraha mode of worship, we can transcendently realize the presence of the Lord more lovingly than in His presence. Without love of God, there is no meaning even to direct contact. During the presence of the Lord, there were thousands and thousands of men, but because they were not in love of Godhead, they could hardly realize the personality of Godhead, Shri Krishna. Therefore, we must first activate our dormant love of Godhead by following the prescribed rules and by following the footsteps of the authorities who are actually fixed in love of Godhead. The gopis provide the highest example of such unalloyed love of Godhead. And Lord Chaitanya, at the ultimate stage of realization, displayed the viraha worship in the mood of the gopis. In the mundane world, there is also some shadow of such viraha. A loving wife, husband, or friend may for some time be maddened by the absence of the beloved. Such a state of mind, however, is not permanent. The loving husband or wife takes to another and forgets everything of the past. This is so because there is no reality to such relationships in the material world. The spiritual situation, however, is completely different. A bona fide lover of God could never forget Him, even in exchange for everything else. The devotee of the Lord cannot be happy in any circumstances without the Lord. In the absence of the Lord, the devotee associates with Him by remembering his separation. And because the Lord is absolute, the devotee's feeling of separation is transcendently more relishable than direct contact. This is possible only when we develop genuine love for Him. In that state, the devotee is always with the Lord by feeling of separation, which becomes more acute and intolerable in suitable circumstances. The mild wind reminded the gopis of the association of the Lord, and they felt separation from Him acutely. So, dear devotees, these are analogies given in the light of the Bhagavad, comparing two things. And here it's comparing the love of the gopis, right? This light breeze that blew during the autumn. It was mild and it was blowing, and it carried the scent of the fruits and flowers, and it appeared very pleasing. And the gopis were overtaken by heartfelt sorrow. So before we say anything, we'll say some prayers. Om Jnana Timirantasya Yananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasme Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaya Tidanti Swapatantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Chagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radhakanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchikalpatrubhescha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavinibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So dear devotees, having read this verse and purport, it basically seems very high, subject matter for us to speak on. But we'll try to attempt it anyhow and speak from our realizations. So we see that the mundane love of this material world is based on sexual pleasure. And even if someone loves the other out of emotion or sentiment, how long can it last, right? That love ends with the body and it is temporary. So love in this world is tinged with selfish interest and desires. There are so many songs written about mundane love in this world. Like, I'm not sure if you remember, these are old songs, right? Don't break my heart, my achy breaky heart. I don't think he'd understand, right? Do you remember that one? Or it must have been love, but it's over now. It must have been good, but I lost it somehow. So there's basically always disappointment when it comes to love in this material world, right? So all these love songs are there basically telling us how temporary the nature, the love of this world is, right? The temporary nature of this love, that what we call love here, how temporary it is in this material world. So, however, there is hope when it comes to love, right? We are trying to find love in all the wrong places. We're trying to find love in a partner, spouse, girlfriend, boyfriend, dogs, cats, pets, everything else. But they all bring us disappointment. By nature, we like to be loved, and we like to love and expect to be loved in return, and we are searching for it, as I said, in all the wrong places. And we can come to the point of love in Krishna and the Bhagavad Gita. He says that if one offers me with love and devotion, a leaf, flower, fruit, a little water, I will accept it. So Krishna is not demanding a lot because he also wants to be loved by his part and parcels. So, so if you want to be loved by Krishna, then now you know how to be loved, right? Because you have to offer that love and then you will receive love, right? And Krishna won't disappoint you. Instead, your love for him will keep on increasing. And so Krishna's love for you as well, you know, your love for Krishna will keep on increasing and Krishna's love for you will keep on increasing. So in this way, you know, this Anandam Buddhivardhanam, it'll be increasing, right? Krishna wants our love. And basically the name, another name for Krishna is Rama. And Rama means the reservoir of all pleasure. Krishna can give you more pleasure than you can imagine, right? And more pleasure than your heart can contain. And this pleasure is also love, right? So we have to come to the point of making Krishna love us. And how do we do that? By practicing bhakti yoga. Bhakti actually means how to develop one's love and devotion to Krishna. So here, by us following the sadhana bhakti process that Srila Prabhupada has so kindly given us, we can come to this point of loving Krishna unconditionally. So there are two types of love that is basically explained in the light of the Bhagavad. And as we're reading, Sambhog and Viraha, or Vipralamba. So Sambhog meaning direct connection with Krishna, and the other is called Viraha or Vipralamba, meaning love in separation. So as I said earlier, I'm not qualified to speak on the subject matters, but just for my purification, I will try to say what I've heard from our spiritual masters, like His Holiness Parthasarathi Das Goswami. He speaks on these subject matters now and then in our classes here at the temple. So it is being described here that Lord Chaitanya wants us to attain Viraha or Vipralamba, because then we can realize the Lord more lovingly than in his presence. Right? This was experienced by the gopis when Krishna left the rasa dance. Right? You remember, they became mad in search for him and resort to asking the creepers, trees, and even the bumblebees if they had seen Krishna. So this is there in the Krishna book, or even in the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. But we're not going to go into all of that. We also see that, you know, when Krishna left Mathura, and he went to Mathura to actually kill many demons there. And so the gopis, they almost gave up their lives in separation of Krishna. So I'm just going to mention the others without going into detail, right? So in Vipralamba, it is divided into 3 categories. And one is called Purvarag, preliminary attraction. The other one is called Man, seeming anger. And the other one is called Pravasa, loving from a distance, right? When Krishna is in separation. So, devotees, Krishna reserved the rights as to who can experience this love. And only those devotees practicing unalloyed love can actually experience these intense feelings of separation for Krishna. We see that when Krishna was present here 5,000 years ago, not all could understand him as a supreme personality of Godhead. and those who could were favored by him. And we see like the story of Vidura, you know, where Krishna was invited, actually he was invited to take lunch with the Kurus, and they prepared an elaborate feast, you know, and so we can imagine, because they were so rich, they were basically ruling the entire kingdom. So they prepared an elaborate feast for Krishna. But Krishna, he didn't go to them. Instead, he went to the house of Vidura. And Vidura was, you know, living very simply. And, you know, he was, he and his wife were living very simply. And because Vidura had so much of love for Krishna, Krishna went to his house. And we know the pastime where, you know, how Krishna, Vidura was actually he was so ecstatic with love that, you know, he was peeling the banana and feeding Krishna. So instead of giving Krishna the banana, he was feeding Krishna the peels, right? Instead of the fruit. So in this way, Krishna, he very heartily ate the peels that Vidura was giving him. And why is this so? Because Krishna accepts the love of his devotees. And he says, if one offers me love and devotion, right? And in this way, the love that Vidura had for him was, you know, he was feeding Krishna the peels instead of the banana, actually. And Krishna was enjoying it and relishing it because he was tasting the love of Vidura, right? And he basically bypassed the Kurus and he went to Vidura. So we see that Krishna accepts the love of his devotees. And the other one is the other pastime that wants to relate is Sudama the Brahmana. You know, Sudama was very poor, and he basically had hardly anything in his house to eat, right? And his wife, you know, petitioned him, why don't you go to your friend Krishna? He's, you know, he's basically, he's Dwarkadish, you know, you should go to him and you should ask him for something little, you know, just for us to maintain our body and soul. So please go to him. And Sudama, you know, he basically, he and Krishna were friends. And he didn't want to go to Krishna, you know, and he felt bad going to Krishna and asking him for something. But he said, this is a good opportunity for me because I will go and visit Krishna. You know, at least in this way, I can get the association of Krishna after so many years, right? So Sudama said, okay, I'm going to go, but give me something to take for Krishna. So his wife found some chipped rice, you know, and she tied it in a bundle and she sent it to, it was just like a handful of rice, and sent it with Sudama. And when Sudama went to Dwarka, and, you know, he was basically in so much of awe and reverence, and basically his love for Krishna, that when he met Krishna, he forgot to even, you know, give him the chipped rice. And he thought, oh, my Krishna is living in such opulence, and here I brought this mean chipped rice for Krishna. You know, I'd rather not give it to him. So as they were enjoying their pastimes, and Krishna, when he saw Sudama the Brahmana, he actually took, you know, advantage of the situation, because he's a Brahmana. Krishna washed his feet, right? And in this way, he's after Krishna welcomed him and everything, Krishna asked him, so Sudama, what have you brought for me? And so I said, no, I didn't bring anything for you. But he says, no, I know you have brought something for me. And there it's hidden in your waist cloth. And he grabbed the rice, he pulled it out, and he started to eat this rice. And he was relishing every morsel, every grain of this rice. He was relishing it. Why? Because it was offered to Krishna with so much of love. So Krishna tastes the bhav of his devotees, the love of the devotees, what the devotee has for him. That's what he tastes. So we say in this way, when Sudama went back home, then his old hut was basically transformed into a palace, right? And his wife was dressed with such beautiful ornaments, and his children were adorned with nice, basically clothing and jewelry like this. So Krishna gave him so much, just for that little bit of chipped rice, because of his love that he displayed. So yes, devotees. So we should also, try to love Krishna in this manner, and we should take the examples of Vidura and Sudama, and basically the cowherd boys of Vrindavan, Mother Yashoda, the gopis of Vrindavan. So all these devotees have special love for Krishna, right? And the highest love of all is the gopis of Vrindavan. And because they would do anything for Krishna, they would sacrifice their whole lives for the satisfaction of Krishna. So it's not the mundane love affairs of this material world, but it's the highest bliss in the spiritual realm. We find that in this material world, there's also loving affairs, between couples, right? But it comes nothing close. It's a perverted reflection of the love in the spiritual world. So as I mentioned before, this love in separation are divided into 3 categories: Purvarag, preliminary attraction; Man, seeming anger; Pravas, loving Krishna by being distant from him. So as I read in this purport, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants us to attain to this Vipralamba Bhav. And this is what Srila Prabhupada is saying here in the purport, that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants us to experience this. And that is why he came to this material world, to give us the highest love of the spiritual realm. In this degraded age that we're living in, Kali Yuga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us the highest love that can be experienced in the spiritual kingdom of God. So, so we should take advantage of this. And Srila Prabhupada, by Srila Prabhupada's mercy, we have actually come to Krishna consciousness, and we have accepted Prabhupada's teachings and the teachings of the Parampara, so that we can go back home, back to Godhead, and make our lives perfect, right? And never to return to this material realm again. So once Krishna says, once having gone there, we do not come back to this material world. So all he is asking for is bhakti, right? He's not asking for jnana and karma and all of these things. All he's asking for is bhakti, love and devotion, right? Because jnana, is tinged with wanting to become one with the Lord, right? Jnana. So people, they want, because they are they were trying to enjoy this material realm, and they became frustrated, right? And then they took to Jnana Yoga, And Jnana Yoga is, when one practices Jnana Yoga, then he basically wants to become one with Krishna. Right? So he wants to become Krishna, basically. And you cannot become one with God. It's not possible. So the furthest you can go is the Brahma Jyoti, where you basically, remain there for some time. And when your piety is exhausted, then you fall back into this material realm. So you cannot actually become one with Krishna. But we have to become one with Krishna's desires. And what is Krishna's desires? Krishna wants to love us, and he wants us to love him. So this is Krishna's desire. So having said that, I'll stop here now. And if anyone would like to contribute to this class, you're most welcome to do so. Anyone? We always start with Paramatma Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the wonderful class. Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Would you like to contribute something?
Yes. Maharaj, I can only think of when you said that love for Krishna is permanent and it's blissful. And, we're fortunate that we came in touch with Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and through his wonderful devotees. And so we take into Krishna consciousness in association with elevated devotees. And I think we just have to follow the 9 processes of devotion. And we are doing the hearing at the moment, which we need to take, we are grateful to you, Maharaj, for your time. And as you said, love in this material world, it's only going to take us to frustration, and we rather take it to something that's more blissful. And Krishna, he accepted love in the form of banana skin. So that shows that, he's after our devotion. Thank you, Maharaj. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else, Shai?
Hare Krishna. Thank you for a lovely class. Prabhu has actually said what I wanted to say. So mine is mundane love is temporary, tinted, and with pain, whereas spiritual love is permanent, and it's pure and eternal, and it has no pain. Also, to love, that love comes from our super soul, and we were meant to love. It comes from, we were meant to love, and to love eternally.
Thank you. Yes, so this love of the spiritual world is basically, it can be experienced in this material world if we practice bhakti yoga. And as the purport was saying, that we have to follow the rules and regulations of scripture, right, in order to come to that point of Vipralambha Bhav. So we have to start first at the bottom, right, with sadhana bhakti, following the rules and regulations. And then slowly and gradually we can come to rise to that point of loving Krishna with unalloyed devotion. Nayana Manjari, anything?
Hare Krishna Mataji, dear devotees. Thank you for a very lovely class, very intense. Mataji, I've got nothing for this week. Thank you very much. Hare Bol.
Hare Bol. Kajusa Mataji, anything?
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for wonderful class. What is in my mind after listening to you is that even Krishna cannot understand the love of Radharani for him. And for this reason, I think she is the highest beyond the gopis. love for Krishna, because Krishna himself came in form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to understand love of Radharani for him. And my mind also went to Brihad Bhagavatamrita, where through Gopakumar in the second part of Bhagavatamrita, he traveled from planet to planet, and he tried to understand love for Krishna, how any devotees expands his love for Krishna, and why Krishna was so merciful with some of them. And returning back to Vrindavan from Brahmaloka, he saw Vrindavan never changed. All the others disappeared, all the earth changed, but Vrindavan remains the same, with what? With the love of gopis in separation for Krishna, and with love of Radharani. This is in my mind. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Kajuta. Yes, very nice. Brihad Bhagavatamrita, beautiful book. And yes, Gopkumar is actually, he's going higher and higher and higher to all the higher planets. And he's, looking for the one person that loves Krishna the most, right? And basically, yeah, so thank you for bringing that up, Kajuta Mataji. We can see how nicely that is being displayed. The love of the devotees are being displayed there, right? So thank you very much. Siabonga, would like to say something?
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna.
No, I do not. I don't have anything to say.
Okay, thank you for listening though, and thank you for being part of this class. We really appreciate that. So you can join us every Thursdays as well, right? At the same time.
Okay, thank you for leading the class.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so devotees, if we don't have anything else, then we'll just do a short kirtan and we'll end. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gopal Nande, Hari Haribo. Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hare Krishna,
Bye.
Mataji. Thank
And
you.